Hello, everyone. Welcome to Tuesday evening lesson. I hope you guys are all well. Today we're going to carry on with the article we started yesterday, and let's take a look at that. Now, last week we started with Islam's general. We're going to carry on, and then we left off part 2. Item 3, there are 5 prominent discernments and above mentioned drops. So if I'm not mistaken, that's where we left. So I hope the sound and the vision is all good. Okay, great. So we can carry on. So get there to part 2, item 3. Find that for us. There are 5 prominent. Now, if you recall, last week we started with Islam's general preface, so that we could get used to the study of this, which Rav is doing. So during the morning lesson, we studied tasks. And if you have no idea or if you haven't studied it before, I thought this might be a good introduction place for us to get our head at least somewhat to get familiar with some of the terms that Rav was talking about in book tasks. So we talked about the 4 phases of direct light, how one phase the other, and there are 10 steps. And in the previous item, we also talked about discernment, the first discernment, where there's Bina and there's Chokhmah. Sorry, the first discernment, which is Bina, which is, and from there on, second discernment, the third discernment, where it lights or Chokhmah and the Chasadim from the first. So today we're going to carry on item 3, where we've got the 5 common. So basically, he's explaining to us the structure, 4 phases of direct light, and what these 4 phases are encompassing in terms of lights and forms. When we're talking about forms, obviously spiritual forms, which are related to this. So let's carry on. See how we. So here we have item 3. There are 4. Item 3. There are 5 prominent discernments in the 10 above, which should not move. Eyes, straighten your ways. Pastor wants to keep this structure of our eyes all the time, because obviously everything is based on that foundation. The first discernment is the light of Atzmut, which is, Atzmut means the essence, self, which the comprehensive light from Ein Sof that exists is that. This is the essence, since the lower one does not participate here whatsoever, and it is called Or Chokhmah, called Chokhmah the Or Yesh. The second discernment is the Or Chasadim that extends from above. The light is conjoined with the awakening of the Gevurah, of the eminence, of Behina, which is the light of Bina, truth. The third is the Or that rises from below upward through the Zivug Dehak. It's called Or Chazer, that rises and extends only from. due to the above mentioned. The fourth discernment is the light of upper in Bechina, which is Untitled acquired by her interpretation. Let's see if I can do something with volume here. I hear that the volume is a bit low, so I'm going to move the microphone all the way up here. So I hope this is sounding a bit better. All right, so let's carry on. Here we go. All right, I hope it sounds good on YouTube as well now. If not, let me know. Let's see what I can do. I'm just checking the microphone here on my settings as well. And microphone or a USB. Okay, everything is as I usually set it up. Okay, so we'll see how things are going. The fifth discernment. Okay, so it sounds good. The fifth discernment is the lower gevura, meaning Bechina Dalet, where the intensification of the desire is activated in the Or Hasadim that was added by the emanated. This is called the Kli of Malchut, the Or Yashar, and this gevura is the Kli of 10 Sephirot, and remember that. So, it's talking about here the 4 phases of direct light. The first discernment, let's just go over them because this is important. So the first discernment is the light that comes from the essence of the Creator. Now, we can never feel the essence of the Creator, just like we don't feel the essence of really anything in our reality as well. What we really feel is how something is impacting us. So the Creator is also impacting us, and his way of impacting us is through his light. So the light comes from the Creator, and according to the impact, according to the sensations we get from that light, we actually define the Creator, because this is also how we define our friends. We call people good people, bad people, friendly people, you know, all kinds of discernments we get from our relationships with people, and that allows us to identify or give some kind of a character to the person that we're talking about here. Same thing with the Creator. So his essence, we don't know, but his relationship to us, we can feel, and that's called the light. And the discernments we get from the light is what he's talking about here. So the comprehensive light, which is coming from the Creator, which is the Ein Sof, the light from Ein Sof means no end. All right. So the light of Ein Sof means it is an attitude that the Creator has towards us, which is constant and never ending. So it's describing to us his actually character, his approach to us. This is the essence, since the lower one does not participate here whatsoever, and it's called Or Chochma de Or Yashar. It's called Chochma de Or Yashar. Or Yashar is direct light, which we're getting from the Creator, and it's felt in us as Chochma. Chochma means wisdom. Here we have absolutely no part in what's going on. This is just straightforward influence of the Creator on creation. The second discernment is Or Hasadim, which is the light of mercy, which extends from above downwards. So after Chochmah, the next light the next discernment we get is Hasadim, mercy. And this is the comprehensive light from Ein Sof. This is let me see, from above. Okay, let's just do that again because I just missed the sentence there. So the second discernment is Or Hasadim, is the light of mercy. And this light is conjoined with the awakening of the Gevura. And Gevura is the awakening of the desire to receive. And that is where the emanated of Bechina Bet means the second discernment. And there exists the light of Bina, which she drew. So there's the Creator's essence, where we get the light from, that's Keter. And the first discernment after that is Chokhmah. And then the second discernment after that is Hasadim. And then now he's talking about the third discernment. The third discernment is the Or Hasadim that rises from below upwards through a Zivug Dehaka. It's called Or Hazer, that rises and extends only from the emanated due to the above mentioned attainment. So here, after this Or Hasadim, what happens is an operation between the vessel and the light. And when they conjoin together, when they mate together, a new condition occurs. And this is called Or Hoser, which is the returning light. So now the created being has some kind of relationship towards the Creator. So that's what the rising of the Or Hoser means, the returning light, and extends only from the emanated, from the created being, due to the above mentioned detainment. And the fifth, the fourth discernment, and then we got the fourth discernment, the light of Apa Gevura, meaning the second discernment, Bechina Bet, which is Avyut, the Bina that she acquired by her intensification. So what's happening really here is this. The Creator is creating the created being through his light. As he's creating the created being, this desire to receive. Remember, the created being is just a desire to receive. This is what our material is. As he's creating this desire to receive, he is filling it with light, fulfilling it. This is not just fulfillment, but this is also an understanding of how the creator is beginning to relate to the created being. So after going through the process, the created desire to receive, then can have some kind of a reaction as to what it's going through. So the discernments from above downwards is basically creating the desire to receive and giving that desire to receive the sensation that something, some force created it and is fulfilling it. So there are two discernments here that's really playing out. And all those discernments are coming about by the sensation of the light, which is actually the Creator's approach, relationship, how he's, acting on us, behaving towards us. And the fifth discernment is the lower Gevura, meaning Bechina Dalet, and that's the fourth phase. After root 1, 2, 3, and then we've got the fourth phase. This lower Gevura, this lower desire to receive, is called the fourth phase, Bechina Dalet, where the intensification of the desire is activated. So now we've got a big desire to receive at that phase. And then Or Hasadim that was added by the emanated. So now the emanated, the desire to receive, is now in a situation to reciprocate back with Hasadim. This is called the Kli of Malchut de Or Yashar. And this Gevura is the Kli of 10 Sefirot. So now we've got Keter, Chokhmah, Bina, Zerampin, and Malchut. So 4 phases. It's really 5 phases, but because we don't count the first phase, it's called the root phase. It's called the 4 phases of direct light. So if you like, you can call it 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. Or the 4 phases, Keter, Chokhmah, Bina, Zerampin, and Malchut. So the light is actually creating the desire to receive with its light, giving it all kinds of sensations. And these sensations are called the 10 Sefirot. So it's quite straightforward, but because there are some technical terms in there, you might find it a little challenging because it's new, or you might have just heard it for the first time. But just think of it this way. The Creator is creating the desire to receive, and this desire to receive is beginning to feel the Creator in certain sensations. And just like we react to things in life because we feel something and we give a reaction to it, the desire to receive is also showing some kind of reaction to the Creator's influence. And this is what we really need to focus on, because that's what's really going on here. All right. So it's nothing, too complicated. It's just technical terms, plus if this is the first time you're studying a technical lesson with respect to the wisdom of Kabbalah, then this is the only reason why it sounds a bit complicated. But other than that, it isn't. Any questions? Okay, no. Fine. Let's carry on reading a bit more. Know that the Masach in Kli Malchut is the root of darkness, because of the detaining force that exists in the Masach to stop the upper light from spreading in Bechina Dalet, the fourth phase. This is also the root of the labor in order to receive reward, since labor is an involuntary act, for the worker feels comfortable only when resting. But because the landlord is paying a salary, he cancels his will before the will of the landlord. Know that here in this world there is no being or conduct that is not rooted in the upper worlds, from which branches expand to the lower worlds, until they are revealed to us in this world. And you see that in general, work and labor are rooted in the Masach, in the Kli of Malchut. Now, Masach means the screen in the vessel of reception in the Kli of Malchut here. So it means that I have a desire to receive, and on top of that desire to receive, I have something called a screen. And a screen is basically, it's called a Masach, and that Masach is how I can turn that desire to receive into a use which is spiritual. That's what the Masach enables us to do. It's kind of like an adapter. Imagine you have a device which you need to use abroad, and you have an adapter for it. It now allows you to use it in a different environment. So the Creator created the desire to receive, but the desire to receive on its own cannot exist in spirituality, because spirituality means bestowal, as we've learned before, and the desire to receive cannot bestow. So it needs to add something from within itself in order to convert itself, adapt itself to bestowal, and that adapter is the Masach. Know that here in this world there is no being or conduct that is not rooted in the upper worlds, from which branches expand to the lower worlds until they are revealed to us in this world. And you see that in general, work and labor are rooted in the Masach, in the Kli of Malchut, which detains the light that she covets due to the emanator who wishes to bestow light. And everything that is thought in the emanator is a mandatory law in the emanated. Naturally, he needs no actions, but his thought completes. Hence, she chooses to not receive the upper light, lest it will come to disparity of form. So this is why the Masach is important. Now, if I'm just a desire to receive pleasure, and if the Creator is just the force of bestowal, his nature is just bestowing, and he created us as a desire to receive, and he wants to give to us because that's his nature. However, though, if we do not reciprocate the act of giving back, then we're completely in opposite forms. And this oppositeness is a problem, because imagine you have a friend and you are completely opposite. Everything you like, that person hates, and everything that person likes, you hate. So it's really impossible for you guys to get along. So this is the kind of situation we have here. The creator is pure bestowal. The created being is pure reception. The creator specifically created us in that way so that he can fulfill us with everything. However, though, even though I want to be fulfilled with everything, if I don't go about it with the right kind of attitude, then it turns into what's called separation from the creator. It turns into an unpleasant situation. It feels like I'm a beggar who's begging for, I don't know, for money or for something. It just doesn't feel like you're a human being who has everything and who attained everything by the power of your own hand. So here, this disparity of form is a bit of a problem, and we have to fix it. We've got to solve it. And this is the whole wisdom of Kabbalah, actually. How to receive from the creator. Kabbalah means to receive, reception. So how we're going to do it correctly in order to feel the creator while we live in this world. So let's see what else he's saying here. It follows that the detaining force in the Masach is equal to the labor, and the reward that the landlord gives to the worker is rooted in the Or Choser emitted by the Zivug Dehaka, whereby the Masach, a root was made for the Or Choser. It turns out that she returns to being Keter to these 10 Sefrot, the Or Choser, as well as to Or Yashar. As will be explained below, all this profit came to her because of this act of detaining. So if I don't blindly go and receive like a mindless child who grabs everything, then what happens is I put the masach, the screen, into play. Now, when I put that into play, we've got the creator's relationship towards me, which is called straight or direct light, which he calls here Or Yashar. That's the creator's approach to us. If I put the masach into action and stop receiving everything like a mindless child who wants to go and grab everything, then I put upon my reception detaining force where I say, wait a minute, before I receive anything, I want to just check if what I'm doing is the right thing to do. Or is it the correct approach? Now, this contemplation, this consideration towards the giver allows me to build Or Choser. Or Choser, being the returning light, is actually meaning that now I'm beginning to build a relationship towards the creator. His relationship towards me is Or Yashar, direct light. And now when I'm building it from below up, it's called Or Choser, which is the returning light. And what makes this relationship possible is the masach, the screen. So let's see what he's explaining to us below. From the above mentioned, it follows that the 10 Sefrot are really one kli. This is one vessel called Malchut. So everything is really happening in that Malchut, okay? In the Malchut, which is the desire to receive pleasure. But to complete its form, it is discerned with 3 roots. The 3 Bechnot, Chochmah, Bina, and Zerampin, that extend from one another. You should know that this Malchut is still contained in the Or Ein Sof from before the Simsum, called Malchut Ein Sof, in which was the first restriction. So Malchut is actually developed from the 3 phases before, Chochmah, Bina, and Zerampin. So because of them, Malchut is an output. It's the last final product. So all of those Sefirot have actually, the previous phases, the Sefirot, have actually been the cause for the outcome, the result, which is called Malchut. Malchut de Ein Sof, the Malchut of infinity. And then the first restriction came into play after Malchut was completely created in its final form. So the first restriction means I am now stopping myself from receiving everything that the Creator wants to give, because if I get anything, I want to build some kind of a relationship, an approach, so that I can receive in such a way that I don't feel like I'm receiving it like a beggar or like somebody throwing a bone to a dog. I want to have a proper relationship with the giver where I don't feel bad. And this is where the restriction comes in. Okay. Let's see. From the above mentioned, it follows that the 10 Sephirot are really one Kli called Malchut, but to complete its form, it's discerned from 3 roots, the 3 Bechinot, Chochma, Bina, and Zerampin, that extend from one another. And you should know that this Malchut is still contained in the Or Ein Sof from before the Tzimtzum, called Malchut Ein Sof, in which was the first restriction. So this is what we read and just explained. As it is written in Panim Masbirot, branch 1, because of the equivalence of form with the emanator, her desire rose from wanting to receive in Bechina Dalet, and the light of the Kav, the line, extended to her from Ein Sof. The light of the Kav contains all the light that extends into the 5 worlds called Adam Kadmon, Atzlut, Beriah, Yetzirah, and Asiyah. This light is generally referred to as Kav, from the word Kav Midah, measurement, as it extends into the worlds by measure and a rationed number in each world, according to the form of the Kli of Malchut in that world, as it is elaborated within. So the only light, the way we can actually receive light from the Creator, is not like, you pour a bucket into, I don't know, not like you pour water into a bucket, in a mass form, let's say from bucket to bucket, but imagine filling a bucket with a thin pipe that's bringing the water in. So this is how the light actually works. It comes through a really thin pipe, and it allows the vessel to receive in a measured way, to receive the amount in a controlled way, let's call it. All right. So all our reception from the Creator now turns into some kind of a controlled behavior, where instead of before we were just being fulfilled with light because that's how the Creator wanted us to be fulfilled with everything, the created being now, with the aid of the Masach, is able to put a stop to that because it wants to build a reciprocative relationship, and now is receiving the light in a thin, measured way. When it says in a thin, measured way, it's, we shouldn't really depict it in some kind of a physical form, like a, thin light. Basically, it's trying to say, listen, I'm willing to take from the Creator as much as I can reciprocate in my relationship towards the Creator in a way that He relates to me. And that's what that measurement really means. So if I see that the Creator really loves me and is bestowing to me and wants to do good to me, I need to start thinking, well, how am I going to build such a relationship with the Creator that will be in the same form, in the same kind of love and giving? If I can't have that, then I can't take more. So that measurement that it's talking about is the measurement according to how much I can give back. And only then we can actually start building this relationship. Otherwise, it's not going to be an equal relationship. And the Creator wants us to be equal in creation. He wants us to be partners in creation. So I have to basically, in order to be the Creator's partner, I have to grow up. And this growing up process is actually doing everything little by little, just like little children grow up. They do everything little by little, a bit here, a bit there. And by that, their mind grows. They become more competent, understanding, and then they become more adaptive to our world. The same kind of process the created being has to also has to go through. So this is what it's talking about here. This is why I said it may sound complicated with all the terminology and everything, but really it's describing how we need to grow this relationship, how we need to build this relationship towards the Creator. And this is really quite similar to how a child grows and builds a relationship towards his or her parents or towards the world where we get everything from. So he gave us some names here, how to, build this relationship, just like we have in life, right? We have our, when we're a little fetus in our mum's in belly, in the womb, then we're born, we're babies, then we grow up a little bit, we become a child, and then we become a teenager, and then we become a grown-up, and then we become a mature person. So just like we have phases of growth, he here also is mentioning the growth phase of this relationship, and he names them as worlds. This is a quite nice expression, actually, to depict our growth as worlds, because as we grow up, the world becomes bigger as well, doesn't it? First, we grow up in our home, and our only world is the house itself, or the home, the apartment, or whatever. And then we begin to go out, we begin to discover the world, we go out and play in the park, then we understand we have a neighborhood. Then we start growing up even more, we begin to understand we have a city, a country, and then the whole world, and then the whole of space, and so on. So the world, as we grow up with our understanding, also grows. So here the worlds are also depicting to us these levels of growth that we need to go through in spirituality. And they've called it the 5 worlds here. And these 5 worlds are Adam Kadmon, Atzilut, Bria, Yetzirah, and Asiya. Let's see what else we've got here. Okay. And the matter of the 5 above mentioned worlds are truly the matter of the Keter and the 4 known Bichnot in the 10 Sephirot. Thus, the world of Ak is the world of Keter. The world of Atzilut is the world of Chochmah. The world of Beriah is the world of Bina. The world of Yetzirah is the world of Zerampin, and the world of Asiya is the world of Malchut. However, in each world there are 10 Sephirot, and each Sephirah of the 10 Sephirot of that world comprises 10 Sephirot as well as it is written inside. So what we have here is that every phase, the root 1, 2, 3, 4, are Keter, Chochmah, Bina, Zerampin, and Malchut. And all of these phases are actually also related to as worlds. So the world of Keter is the world of Adam Kadmon. The world of Chochmah is Atzilut. The world of Bina is Bria. The world of Zerampin is Yetzirah. And the world of Asiya, the world of Malchut. So all of the now 10 Sephirot are actually in this structure, and this structure of the worlds plus the 10 Sephirot now allow us to, what do they tell us? Well, it tells us how our desires are now related. How can I say it? The worlds and the Sephirot in it are actually how our desires take the form of bestowal in spirituality. So we have a bunch of desires, and these desires, due to their coarseness, are in different levels. So there are different levels of coarseness for the desire to receive, and these are known as worlds. And these worlds comprise, or those desires need to be fulfilled with light according to the purpose of creation, right? We're supposed to get all the light of the Creator. So those lights refer also to the worlds, the Sephirot. So every world has a Sephirot as well related to it, because Sephiras comes from the word sapphire. It means reflecting the light. So a Sephirot is actually where I'm using something in order to bestow back. So therefore, every world, according to its coarseness, according to the level of its coarse desire, is related to a Sephirah. This is why they're related. Let's see what else have we got here. Okay, they are divided into 5 above-mentioned worlds. So Adam, Kadmon, Atzlut, Bria, Yitzra, Asiya. And according to those worlds, there are the Sephirot, Keter, Chochmah, Bina, Zerampin, and Malchut. And all the worlds as well is divided into 10 Sephirot he's talking about here. He explains. So the world of Adam Kadmon, although is the world of Keter, it is also divided into Keter, Chochmah, Bina, Zerampin, and Malchut. So every world within itself also has 10 Sephirot, and all the 10 Sephirot within themselves also have 10 Sephirot. So now we begin to have a detailed structure of the worlds and how the worlds and the lights are interacting. They're divided into the 5 above-mentioned worlds because the Kli of Malchut should first be integrated in each Sephirah through Keter. This occurs in Hitpashtut Aleph, the first expansion, of Ahab De'ak, where she was integrated in Zol. In Hitpashtut Bet, the Ahab, she was integrated in Bina, and the world of Nikodim, she was integrated in Chochmah, and in the world of Atzlut, she was integrated into Keter. So now Malchut is, let's depict it for a moment. Now, as we've learned, the last phase, which is Malchut, is the real desire to receive. And it mentioned above, as we read before, that everything is going on in this desire to receive. So everything is actually happening inside Malchut. So inside this Malchut, the Ein Sof, the Malchut of infinity, we have all the worlds in there and all the 10 Sephirot in there. That's basically what it's talking about. And this expansion of the light is all happening within inside this vessel called Malchut. Now, Ahab means the coarse desires that we have. So our desires are divided into 2, Galgalta Einayim, which are more pure desires, and Ahab, which are the really coarse, the really egoistic desires. So as the vessel, as Malchut, this desire to receive, is developing more and more, this structure of Ahab is beginning to become more prominent and obvious, because those are the vessels which are really supposed to fill with the light. Because the bigger the desire you have, the greater the light you'll get, because the more pleasure you'll have if you have a big desire. And that's what these Ahab desires are. So these are actually being enrooted in us from the beginning onwards. But the course of the desire is as it develops into Malchut. Okay? So the whole system, the whole desire is developing from pure desires, from small desires into greater and greater desires. And according to the coarseness of the desire, there is the light that corresponds to it. Okay, and this is called this hitpashtut, the expansion. The first expansion and the second expansion, where the desire to receive is now being integrated into the worlds. And that's where you get the Adam Kadmon, the Absolute Bria Yetzira Asiya, where Absolute begins to be integrated in Keter, and then the other Chochmah, Bina, Zerampin, and Malchut begin to all integrate into lights in this development, where the desire to receive is now becoming more and more, let's say, connected to the light. It's beginning to have more discernments. And since Malchut has been integrated in each sephira, because Malchut is the desire to receive. If you don't have a desire to receive, there's nothing to bestow to the Creator with. So it has to be integrated in every sephira. The world of correction begins. Its Rosh is the above-mentioned world of Atzilut, where the light of Ein Sof dresses the Bechina Aleph, and the light of Ein Sof dresses Bechina Bet, creating the world of Bria. Following it, dresses in Bechina Gimel, creating the world of Yetzirah, and then it dresses in Bechina Dalet, creating the world of Asiya. It will be elaborated inside how they all stem one from another by a mandatory manner of cause and consequence, and how they are tied to one another. So here what's important is this. Because the desire to receive this Malchut Ein Sof is integrated into every Sephirah, the development of Malchut and all the desire that needs to develop is now being developed in a structural way. And this is why we get the worlds now. So this Malchut being integrated in the Sephirah now allows the creation of the worlds. So it now becomes a full structure. This is why its head, the Rosh, is now the Atzilut. And that's where the light of Ein Sof dresses in Atzilut. And that's where the Rosh is the head, the mind. And then you got the second phase that's happening afterwards, which is Aleph. Okay, after the Rosh, then you got the first Aleph. Then you got Ein Sof dresses in the second phase, which is Bina. And that's called the second phase. So now the light is constantly dressing in an ever more developing desire to receive. And this development and the connection of the light with that development is creating the worlds inside Malchut. And that's how the desire to receive is actually developing with the light all the time. So in every world, what happens is the light and the desire to receive get connected. This connection, this reciprocal relationship is called a sephirah. And then the Ein Sof, okay, dresses in the first phase, and then it dresses in the second phase, creates the world Bria, and then it dresses in the third phase, creating the world of Yetzirah, and it dresses in the fourth phase, Bechina Dalet, creating the world of Asiya. And this is how all the worlds are created. So the creation of the worlds basically means the creation of the desire to receive in a certain form. Just like when we're children, we have small desires. As we grow up, we have big desires. So this is how the vessel is growing up. Initially, it's starting with small desires where there's not too much egoism. And as the vessel grows bigger and bigger and bigger, it begins to have more egoistic, more strong desires. Just like as we grow up, our egoism increases and we have bigger desires. And there are more fulfillment in those desires. All right, so this is item 3. So far, there are no questions, as I see. Okay, no questions at all. So we're on item 4. Let's do this. Because item 3 right now took us about 45 minutes, let's not start item 4. Let's leave that to the next lesson. Okay? Let's use the week ahead to put our heads together and go over it a little bit if you've got time to figure out. Let's just summarize it for a second. The Creator created the desire to receive. This desire to receive goes through phases of development until it becomes a mature desire to receive. The phases that it goes through is called Keter, Chochmah, Bina, Zerampin, Malchut, or the root phase, where the initiation starts actually in the root phase. And then it's the first phase, Aleph, second phase, Bet, third phase Gimel, and the fourth phase Dalet. And Dalet, as you know, is Malchut. So it's Keter, Chochmah, Bina, Zeir Anpin, Malchut. Now we've got the development of the desire to receive with 4 phases of coarseness, and now they're called Keter, Chochmah, Bina, Zeir Anpin, and Malchut. And how the Creator's light relates to this, to these levels of coarseness, they're named as worlds. So inside of each of these, so inside the big desire to receive, we have the lights, or the 10 Sefirot, Keter, Chochmah, Bina, Zeir Anpin, and Malchut. And inside the Malchut, there are now worlds: Adam, Kadmon, Atzilut, Bria, Yitzra, and Asiya. So all my desires are now kind of categorized. That's what the worlds are. I'm categorizing my desires, and according to how I've categorized them, I've given them the names of the Sefirot: Keter, Chochmah, Bina, Zeir Anpin, and Malchut. So now we have a structure of things, and this is why we have a head, we have a body, we've got legs, we have a structure in body, right? Now, don't get your body mixed up with spirituality. The corporeal body has nothing to do with spirituality, but I'm just giving it as an example, because just like our body has a structure, the vessel, the desire to receive, also has a structure. So this structure is actually being built by the light. So the desire to receive is now beginning to take some kind of shape, some kind of form as to the desires it has and how it can use those desires. Okay, so this is basically what we're up to right now. So a few technical terms there. It would be good if you knew them, especially if you're watching the morning lesson, or you want to watch the morning lesson where we listen to the where we study the Talmud Eser Sefirot, where it talks about all the worlds, the structure of the desire to receive, and all the lights that are in there. So it'll be a good idea to actually know the name of the worlds: Adam, Kadmon, Atzilut, Bria, Yitzra, Asiya, and also the names of the 10 Sefirot: Keter, Chochmah, Bina, Zeir Anpin, and Malchut. So we've got those as well. And obviously the 4 phases: the Bechina Shoresh, the root phase; Bechina Aleph, first phase; Bechina Bet, second; Bechina Gimel, third; and Bechina Dalet, the 4th phase. So all of those have matching or corresponding Sefirot and worlds. Right, I hope it's a bit more clear, it's a bit more structured. So we've got the root phase, Shoresh, which is Keter, and that's the world of Adam Kadmon. Then we've got the first phase after the root phase, we've got Chochmah, which is the world of Atzilut. Okay, and that's Bechina Bet. Then we've got the third phase, Bechinat Gimel, which is the world of Bria. It's called Bina. And then we've got the 4th phase. We've got the root 1, 2, 3rd phase, Bechinat Gimel, which is Zeir Anpin. And that's the world of Yetzirah. And then we've got the 4th phase, which is Malchut, which is the world of Asiya. And that's the 4th phase, Bechina Dalet. All right, so every phase has a corresponding Sephirah and a world. So just note as that kind of a structure, and that's how it's initially being created by the light, by the Creator himself. So next week we'll go to item number 4, right? Okay, so we'll have an item number 4 next week, and we'll build step by step on top of that, okay? In the meantime, have a great evening. I'll see you guys